Changing Expectations. Written by KK Slider. Arc 2, First Fang. Chapter 7, Apotheosis. As Chrysalis left the room, I felt a huge yawn rack my body. Rather than look the gifted pony in the mouth and question why she was suddenly letting me have a day off, I decided to take a nap. This rigorous schoolwork was very tiring after all. I curled up on one of the chairs by the fireplace and went to sleep. Or at least tried to. No matter how I repositioned myself, I could not get comfortable. I shifted, tossed and turned, but nothing worked. I decided a different spot would probably do the trick. I crawled over to the couch and tried laying on that. Still, I could not get comfortable. Keeping my eyes open was an effort at this point. I was exhausted, but no rest ever came. Those changeling larvae I saw when I first hatched seemed to love to fall asleep on Chrysalis's legs. Maybe there's merit to that? Do changeling larvae naturally fall asleep on vertical surfaces? I got off the couch and started to scale the fireplace itself, eventually reaching a point halfway up and tried to get some shut-eye. Yet again, sleep did not come. However, I did feel somewhat a bit more comfortable. Closer? Higher, maybe? My mind was still awash from the different definitions, formulas, and facts from my lectures that I couldn't focus on anything but going to sleep. Even when I made it all the way up to the ceiling, my thoughts drifted only towards rest. Almost. Need, don't know. A blanket? Something to wrap myself in. There we go. A warmth had wrapped around me. I was snug, comfortable, and safe. Finally, sleep took me. After 30 minutes, Chrysalis opened the door. Prince Phasmotadeo was missing. Instead, a iridescent chrysalis hung above the fireplace. The queen smiled at her namesake. A fanged grin pulled up the corners on both sides of her muzzle.
Sleep well, my little prince. You will need your energy when you wake.
She shut the door and trotted off to the throne room to begin working through the backlog of tasks that had piled up in her absence. There, she took up her throne, and the one changeling not in royal armor, out of the 13 present, moved to bow in front of her. Chamberlain Eucharis had been sent for when Queen Chrysalis was still waiting outside of her study.
My queen, your itinerary is ready. A debriefing with Intelligencer Ocelli is the first time.
Intelligencer Ocelli was the head of the infiltrator operations. If she wanted a debriefing, then she believed she found something worth notifying Chrysalis over. Ocelli's judgment had been correct when bringing in past information, so this was most likely important.
If only more drones had her wit. Good. I will see her at once. Fetch the Intelligencer.
The Chamberlain left and later returned at a rapid pace. He brought with him a guest.
My queen.
Intelligencer Ocelli bowed.
I thank you for the honor of meeting with me.
Queen Chrysalis didn't react.
I have brought news from the newest infiltrations of the Pony City of Baltimore. Collections of news printings has proven most wise, my queen.
The monarch continued to stare.
Our findings have greatly improved our information network. We have discovered the existence of a second eloquent princess. A princess of love.
That's got a reaction.
A second alicorn? A princess of love? You will tell me everything. There hasn't been an alicorn of love since...
Chrysalis trailed off in thought. I dreamt with perfect clarity about alien worlds. I dreamt I was walking through a jungle valley. Mountains ringed a dense green canopy. In front of me lay the roots of a tree bigger than the ringed mountains. A tree that could only be called a world tree. Its massive branches supported entire ecosystems. Its trunk casted a shadow that blocked out the sun. Its roots tunneled and burrowed through the jungle for thousands of miles. There was an orchestra of bird calls filling the air, and a small sapling grew at the mountain tree's base. Despite the world tree's shadow, the forest around it did not shrink in size to where the shadow lay. The jungle was feeding off of the root system of the world tree itself. The nearby flora couldn't hold a candle to the world tree's majesty. The world around me vanished, and I found myself in a crowded city. I was on a packed sidewalk, going against the flow of pedestrians. There was a bright light coming from a distant skyscraper, its black and white form dominating the skyline. The street was flooded with noise, but I couldn't make any specifics out. It seemed like there were a number of conversations going on, but all the words sounded like gibberish. I tried getting someone's attention, but he ignored me and continued on. Then, I was floating in an open, calm sea. I felt the pull of different currents, presence even up here on the surface. I could sense the ocean floor beneath me. At places, it was close to the surface, reefs and shoals of fish bountiful. In others, it was far below, a desolate waste. Small waves seemed to rise up and crash upon themselves at random, but they never did more than send ripples across the water. It was quiet, it was calm. In the distance, a massive summer storm was coalescing into a dark hurricane. Finally, I found myself in a black void, looking up at a starry night sky. Only instead of pinpricks of white light scattered across a black canvas, I saw entire galaxies fill up the sky, almost seeming to fight each other for space. Whites, yellows, reds, and blues painted themselves across the horizons. Blues shifted from light cyans to deep violets. Yellows flowed from light ambers to hot oranges. If I focused hard enough, I swear I saw the galaxies pulse, ebb, and flow. They seemed to move as if in a breeze. At the very top of the heavens, a supermassive spiral galaxy commanded my attention. It was at an angle, so it should have blocked out anything behind it. Yet, I could see other galaxies bleeding through the spiral galaxy's light. One single arm stretched itself downwards from the heavens, touching the distant horizon. The massive glowing tendril stretched down a distance beneath me into the black void. With nothing better to do, I moved towards it. I didn't have a form, I noticed. I was just a blob of dull orange light. I took the time to think about my new life. Chrysalis was running me ragged with endless lessons. Showing my intelligence so early on might have been a mistake, but it's not like I did it on purpose anyways. Besides, who would want to live out their baby years normally anyways? I sure as hell didn't want to crawl around, cry, and shit myself until I could pretend to learn how to speak. I just now realized that Bug Mom sacrificed my would-be childhood, nymphhood, to train me to be a ruler. I would be more upset over that if it wasn't for the fact that I already had a childhood, complete with actual caring parents. I wasn't sure that Chrysalis loved me. Was she even capable of caring for others? Or was she entirely dedicated to keeping her place at the top? And where are my siblings? I knew from one or two off-hoof comments that I was not her first larva that she raised personally. Off-hoof? Did I really just think that? I pressed onwards, my mind wandering from topic to topic. Reaching the arm took seconds and years, minutes and decades, hours and epochs. It stood before me, stretching out indefinitely to either side. I could not see its ends, nor could I see through it anymore. It was composed of more specks of light than I could fathom. Just in the section in front of me were white, red, blue and yellow specks that numbered more than the grains of sand on any beach. I reached out a glowing orange arm and touched it. At once, I could feel the thrum of each of the galaxies up above. They beat like a heart, like a pulse was traveling through them, its source beyond one of the horizons. Then I heard a whisper from below call out to me.
7 ponies in a ring, an 8th bled in the center, the blood spilling out to form a 7-pointed star. A unicorn falls asleep at her desk, snoring loudly into a notebook. An army marches in lockstep, their forms obscured, but light filtered through the holes in their legs. A field of white petal flowers rested beneath the full moon. There were craters and pockmarks on the moon, resembling the head of a unicorn. It turned to face me.
I jerked awake. At least I would have, if I were not tightly bound up in something hard. As such, I twitched awake. I couldn't see anything. Oh, not this shit again. I pressed outwards with all my might, and my bindings broke easily. Gravity took hold of me, and I fell all the way down to the floor, my rear hitting the mantle above the fireplace, flipping me over midair. I landed on my back with a loud thump. Ow! Thankfully, my carapace stopped the cold, hard stone floor from injuring me seriously. Still hurt though. Wait, carapace? When did that happen? I looked at the rest of my body. I was a full changeling now. Or at least a nymph. I resembled a normal changeling, but with much smaller proportions. 4 legs, a tail, and other protruding parts. Unlike the other changelings, my legs were solid. No holes in sight. I looked around the room. It was a bit different. The bookshelf across the room seemed more full. Bug Mom's desk was mostly cleared of the papers that were on it last night, and the couch had actual pillows now. Aw man, I would have given her my shopping list if I knew she was headed to bedbugs and beyond. Speaking of the chitinous devil, the door opened and Queen Chrysalis stepped through. When she saw me, she paused and smiled. A chill went up my spine when she inspected me with those bright green cat eyes. She looked like she was eyeing up a slab of meat in a butcher's shop rather than greeting her son.
Welcome back, Prince Phasmodadea.
If she licks her lips, I'm running. Wait, back?
Changing expectations.
Written by KK Slider. Chapter 8, Hika. Today is the worst day of my new life. Chrysalis is cutting me off. No more pure love. No more sweet, sweet drugs. Instead, I'm being fed a gel that has a bit of love mixed in. I checked, and no, it was not the changeling vomit concrete. I spent a month in a chrysalis and came out a nymph. Waking up with actual legs is nice and all, but it all came at a cost I wasn't willing to pay. I would have stayed a caterpillar if it meant avoiding this. Apparently, the pure love was a special diet to speed along my growth as a larva. Since I'm no longer bird food, I'm being moved on to a diet that's normal for the changelings of the hive. Well, every changeling except Chrysalis. She still gets pure love for herself. Chrysalis also says that since I was on a diet of pure love, my nymph stage will also go by quicker than normal. Fine by me. The sooner I can stop being a child, the sooner I can start living a new life rather than just reacting to new events around me. I feel helpless and vulnerable. I want to do things, not go to school again. Thankfully, the new stuff that I'm being fed isn't that bad. Instead of reaching a state of euphoria and inner peace, it just tastes good. Quite the step down, but considering the hive was in a state of starvation, rations could be far worse. I can't even imagine what peasants in medieval human history ate during famines. So my dealer is holding out on me, but it's not the end of the world. Chrysalis is still tutoring me herself for the most part, keeping me away from other nymphs. However, today's lessons, the first I had while a nymph, brought with them an interesting surprise.
Prince Phasma, urgent matters require my attention, but I have acquired a tutor for you. Do not worry, your studies will not be put on hold.
Queen Chrysalis said, and I noted her careful phrasing.
I thought you said you were going to teach me everything.
Yes, I will. This tutor is to help you practice. You do not need my presence here for that.
I blinked.
Practice? As in, practice magic?
That certainly puts a spin on things. I was still bummed out that I'm no longer being fed love, but it seems Chrysalis is ending off on good news to try to endear herself to me. I liked her better when she was giving me free drugs.
Yes, my little prince. It is too early for you to learn flying. Your wings must harden, but it is time you put your lessons to use. I am certain you will excel at casting, just as you excelled at thaumic theory. Sergeant Katydid, you may enter now.
I glanced at my back as the door opened. My transparent wings lay under elytra that blended in with the rest of my back. I had shades of orange filling out my back, in contrast to Bugmom's green and the rest of the changeling's blue. I suppose I looked good, and orange is my favorite color, but I can't help but picture myself as a horse stuffed into a traffic cone. A changeling enters her study as commanded and bowed before the queen. As all changelings look similar, I had trouble telling him apart from the rest physically. The only things identifying him from the other changelings seemed to be the nicks and scratches on his armor. Thankfully, there was a weave signature that was unique to each changeling. It would be hard to tell each other apart at a glance otherwise. As it is, you just know each other's names. Introductions are the exchanging of information through the weave, like if you were to trade driver's licenses when you shake hooves.
Hands! Shake hands!
Officer Katydid brings me out of my mental tirade.
My queen, I am honored to be chosen for this duty.
Chrysalis nods.
You may rise, Officer Katydid.
When the officer rose, Chrysalis stared him in the eyes.
Prince Phasmotadea will become an unrivaled spellcaster under your instruction.
That wasn't a question or a hopeful remark. It was an order. Without another word, she left the room and closed the door behind her. The officer continued to stare at the spot she occupied.
No pressure.
I said with a faint smile. He turned to glance down at me.
I will not fail, my prince.
I don't think it was me he was trying to reassure.
We will begin with levitation as our nymphs first learn.
Daring today, aren't we?
While I did memorize the Thaumic formula for casting spells, casting them is a horse of a different color. I would make a pony joke there, but today's lessons have left me down on my hooves with no energy left for puns. As it turns out, learning spells and casting spells are two completely different things. One requires thinking and memorizing, while the other requires thinking of your memorized material while commanding reality to bend to your whims. I am simplifying things a bit here. Point is, casting magic is taking all the effort and skill that went into learning Thaumic theory and spellcrafting, in addition to using a muscle that quite literally does not exist in the physical realm. We changelings, as well as any magic-capable species, use our horns to channel magic from our souls. The horn is the conduit, while it's our mana reserves doing the real work. And since pain is the body's signal that something is going wrong, our bodies tell us that we fucked up casting by making our horns hurt like hell, since they are the only physical parts of our body used in casting. Not that I miscasted or anything. No, instead I felt magic fatigue, which is like the pain of miscasting, only it stings instead of burns. The first spell all changelings and magic users in general learn is levitation. Simply put, you channel magic with the intent of moving things around. For most nymphs, foals, fawns, what have you, that's quite the mental conundrum. For someone who had hands, imagining picking things up from far away was a really good point to start off of. However, humans do not have magic, meaning my magic reserves, while abysmal for a changeling adult drone, and ridiculously high for a newborn changeling nymph, were spent up within an hour. All I had to show for my efforts were some paperweights that were moved from one side of the floor to the other. Exercising magic was like exercising any other muscle group. It hurt, it took effort, and I was a complaining mess by the end. Wizards are supposed to be the opposite of gym rats. This is ridiculous! I want a refund on my reincarnation. I had retired to my room, which was down the hall near the exit to the throne room. It currently consisted of an actual mattress, which had been retrieved in the month I was taking an extended nap, a changeling concrete frame for it, and a stone chest. It doesn't take 3 guesses to find out which 2 materials the hive had in abundance. No sheets, blankets, or pillows, but with hard chitin, they were more of a luxury than a need. I was utterly exhausted, probably in the early stages of withdrawal, and completely out of my element as the prince of an insectoid equine kingdom. My mother, the individual who's supposed to be my role model and primary caregiver, seemed like the kind of person who kicked puppies for a laugh. A smile slowly crept onto my face. I'm an actual wizard. I can make this work. That night, I dreamt of a blood-red moon above an empty sea, whispering the Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War tutorial into my ear.
The diamond-shaped display in the lower left-hand corner of your screen is your minimap. You can use the minimap to see
Yeah, I'm definitely going through withdrawal.
where structures are located. To quickly scan the battlefield, issue quick orders.